So, welcome to episode 5 of season 2 of the Zero Budget Filmmakers Podcast. I'm your host, Thomas Clark, colourist, I got it right today, colourist, director and producer of short films including Sleep Tight, which we'll talk about today, and The Woman of Wilding Woods. And today we are joined by Sasha. Sasha, please introduce yourself for everybody.
Hello! I'm Sasha and I'm a composer for film. The majority of kind of films that I work on are like shorts, and I have a feature that I'm working on this year. And I focus mostly for my music as like a mix between electronic music and orchestral like elements weaved in. And that's why I really love working on horror as well, because you can really kind of get into that, which I'm sure we'll talk about.
We certainly shall. And you have your own podcast as well, didn't you?
Yeah, so it's something that I'm starting. So
Amazing.
It's in kind of a pre-production phase at the moment.
Good.
I've kind of planned like a few episodes already, and the idea is to kind of have directors that I've worked with come on and like basically chat through their films and talk a little bit about the process, kind of what they're looking for from composers as well, because you never really get to see that part. People don't really talk about the process of the director's feelings around composing, what they're looking for. You always find from composers, you know, how you should work and how you should do it and how you get into the industry, but you never hear about what
directors are looking for.
So I wanted to kind of amplify that.
Interesting. Well, it looks like I'll be under the question fires
you're
today as well.
Today.
I guess I'll start then. Is like what kind of got you into composing, and then obviously what made you pick horror as maybe the niche you wanted to go down.
Yeah, so getting into composing was quite a natural transition for me. I've always done music.
Amazing.
And I started out as a songwriter to begin with. And I did a degree for songwriting.
Amazing.
And I'd already done a couple of modules during college for film. I did some like Foley modules and like composition stuff. And then throughout my degree, I just kind of fell out of love a little bit with the songwriting and just transitioned quite naturally into film.
Okay.
I've always loved film scores.
Amazing.
Me and my dad used to, when he would be driving around town for like me going to piano lessons, we would put film scores on in the car.
Amazing.
I'm a massive fan of like EDM music as well, like trance music.
Yeah.
And there's definitely for me a kind of connection between the two.
It comes across now you mention it,
Yeah. Because it's more about feeling than kind of having like a specific structure.
Amazing.
And I love how soundtracks do that in films and how they complement story without having to tell you directly what you're feeling.
Okay.
So it's like the kind of polar opposite to songwriting, where it's kind of verbalizing a feeling. It's more kind of bedded into the music instead.
100%. And then I guess my first question for you, I want to see how much of a film you think sound is. Because I know from the work that I've done, and especially now having done Sleep Tight was the first film I've ever got scored. And I was like, well, this is just miles beyond anything I've done before. Like, I've done sound design, I've done like a couple of bits of just music that have gone underneath, but I've not ever scored and asked for a composer to actually compose a film. So for you, how much of your music do you think makes a film?
Yeah, so 2 parts. I mean, sound overall is one of the most important parts of film, I personally think. If something sounds bad, the audience is then uncomfortable. And if you can't get through that, then it's going to mean that they can't really watch the film and they're not being able to focus on everything else. I feel like that and acting are like the two like most important things when I look at film. Everything else you can kind of pull together, and still, if you've got a very strong story, great actors and great sound, you can still have a really good film if the location's a bit off or things like that. Music, I think it's a underground art within the film industry, and there's definitely a shift. Like, as I speak to directors, a lot more nowadays are seeing the importance of music. And it's really cool as well to speak to directors where they actually have a playlist, and I've spoken to people where they will hear music and actually write based on the playlist of soundtracks as inspiration for their like scripts.
Oh, so picking music before they start writing.
Yeah, which I think is fascinating to see, how people do like really connect with music within a film. And it's so important. You see you can see like clips of film where they change the music, and it's such a different film. I think they did it with Harry Potter, where they changed it to like comedy. Without sound and without music specifically, a film can just feel so different.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. What do you think of silent film then?
Yeah, so silent film is really interesting because, do you mean in regards to dialogue or music?
I guess we'll start dialogue first. So if you like remove the dialogue, I guess the importance of a job that you have goes up even more. So have you scored a piece like that before? Or because I know Sleep Tight was sort of there.
Yeah.
It was very quiet, it was very minimal dialogue. But how do you feel? Have you had the challenge of scoring a completely silent piece yet?
Not yet.
Okay. Would you like to?
I think that would be quite interesting.
Okay.
Because of course then it is the strength of the music. It needs to come across even more because that is everything that the audience is hearing.
Yeah.
So I can imagine that it was going to take a lot more of the film, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'd be so open to that.
Okay. Interesting. And then I want to kind of go back to maybe your early days then. So you said that you went round, your dad took you round with scores in the car. What's kind of the one that comes to mind when you remember sitting in the car? What's that first score or first soundtrack that comes to mind?
Yeah, there's a couple. So Gladiator.
Okay, classic.
The like main theme with her vocal, like still makes me cry now. Beautiful. Like if I hear it. And Fifth Element.
Fifth Element.
Yeah, so it's got Bruce Willis in it. Is Bruce Willis?
I don't know. I can't say I've watched it.
The guy that's in what's the?
I know Bruce Willis from Sixth Sense.
Oh, maybe it's not Bruce Willis.
I think
Die Hard. Who's in Die Hard? The guy from Die.
Bruce Willis. Cameraman.
Is that Bruce Willis?
Someone put it up on the...
Yes, it's got Bruce Willis in it.
Willis, right.
And it's a great film. And it's basically like set in the future, kind of like Blade Runner kind of style-ish.
Okay.
And it's got a bunch of aliens in it. And he basically finds this woman and he's like harbouring her and she can't speak English and she's like an alien from another like world.
Okay.
And he basically like protects her and falls in love with her.
Yeah.
And there's this one scene where they're at an opera.
Right.
And the opera singer is an alien, and she's like get up in like all this blue, and she's singing this like most beautiful like opera like vocals, and then it turns into like this like disjointed like 80s like EDM-y like electronic music, and then her opera goes above the electronic music.
Ooh.
And it's just something that's always stuck out in my mind because it's like weird but cool, and it's a little bit cheesy.
Okay.
But I just remember probably like listening to it like at like 10 years old, being like, "This is amazing."
Wow. And what's remind me of the name of the film?
It's called Fifth Element.
Fifth Element.
It's a great film.
Okay. And those two films there literally match exactly the composition that you're going for now. Do you think that's where you got it from, or did you get those styles of music before you maybe listened to those two soundtracks?
I think it definitely is from those and others as well, from that time, and the mix of like electronic music. I think those two kind of polarizing genres coming together is something that I've always been interested in, and it's kind of the electronic elements that give you that world and like a pulse to it and kind of create like a soundscape, and then the more orchestral stuff that kind of comes sweeping in gives like a lot of the driving emotion that's quite powerful and storytelling, and the two together I find like really cool and fascinating.
So how did you find that orchestral is more storytelling compared to kind of the effects more side of EDM music? What makes you think that orchestral is more storytelling?
Yeah, so I think it's more just the kind of arrangement that comes with orchestral pieces. There's so much to orchestral pieces, and just in the theory behind it of when you're creating a piece. So many things can kind of change that feeling where you're changing the motif, changing key, changing the chord progression. Whereas like electronic music is kind of more, it doesn't have the change is more subtle.
Right.
So you're kind of creating patterns, I would say, with synths, with your kicks, with your drums as well. and it's more like a bed underneath that then drives forward, whereas orchestral music moves quickly and can shift very quickly. With electronic music, especially a lot of the less vocal stuff, it can pan over 7 minutes, and you can have it kind of building slowly underneath with all this texture, which I find that's kind of in my head, to me feels like a bed of story in a way, a bed of emotion in a different way.
So do you feel like do you feel like when you build those synths and everything, do you feel like that flows more throughout the pieces like a constant, and then those orchestral pieces come in when it needs to come in, or am I the other way around?
It depends on the film.
Okay.
So, Sleep Tight as an example, because it's horror, it moves forward continuously, and it's more broken up because it's more about what's on the screen and building tension. So it won't have like a standard kind of 4 bars of continuous music that's kind of changing like it would like with a song, or like a typical orchestral piece where you have kind of sections. Whereas with horror, I find that if you stay in one moment for too long, the audience gets comfortable. So you want to keep that moving. So in that instance, it's more broken up. So you kind of pull a little bit from the synths and electronic and put something in, especially in the low end, like a low synth,
100%.
a kick drum, that kind of thing. And then for especially with horror, then you have like the high strings coming in, fading in, and you can kind of break it up and lean, kind of balance between the two.
Interesting, because I know for Sleep Tight, I didn't really give you much. It was the first time I've ever asked for a composer to do it. I was like, I can't remember how I found you. What did I find you from Amelia? I think it was from Amelia.
I think it was through Megan.
Okay, yes.
So you know Megan.
Yeah, Megan was on the shoot, wasn't she?
Yeah.
And she said,
and I think and then we realised that Rachel and Anton as well.
Yes, that's how,
I worked with them on 48.
Okay. Because I know I didn't really give you much in the way of what I was picturing. I was like, I know I wanted heavy strings, but I know I didn't mention anything about kind of synths or that kind of style of EDM. Is that what you wanted to bring straight away, or did you have any other ideas before kind of pitching those to me, or what was the progression of Sleep Tight? How did it start in your head, or did you watch it and go, that's exactly how I picture it?
Everything always comes by randomness.
Nice.
Like I never plan. I think my first instance, like when I first open up a project, I will go through different sounds and just open up loads of tracks and just go, oh, that sounds a bit interesting, and I'll leave it in. And then I just load up loads of different things, and then I start playing through them and start then mapping some ideas. And whatever comes in that moment, I will start recording. Amazing. And then I'll watch through the film and then start kind of placing bits in like a bit of a puzzle. And then that will kind of start inspiring for the rest of the film.
Gets the brain flowing, that creativity going. Okay.
So then something will spark and go, oh, I really like that.
So do you have like I guess like a regular set that you revisit of pre-recorded sounds, or is it like a catalogue that's always growing that you can then pull in as and when you want to?
It's a bit of both. So a lot of composers, especially for orchestral composers, they will have a template. So when you open the project, you'll have your entire orchestra open, kind of ready to go. I actually like to work with a blank slate because it allows me to just kind of get through that process and also try different things that I may have not immediately gone for if I already had it set up for me. So, I mean, with Sleep Tight, the first thing that kind of pulled interest that I worked from was because I think in one of your notes you said like a long cymbal.
Yes.
And I had previously been in the studio and I had recorded a violin bow resonating against the edge of a large cymbal.
Very nice, yeah.
And it's the low kind of sounds in Sleep Tight is that. And that was a big starting point for me. And then with the synths, that kind of came afterwards. So where you've got I don't want to say spoilers.
No, it's fine. Go for it.
Later on in the film, where you've got kind of the main what would you call him?
Main energy.
Energy.
We'll just say
Yeah,
energy.
let's
Yeah.
say energy. I wanted something kind of like deep but cutting. So that's where the synth right at the end with then you've got the like low cello kind of creating like that part of his energy. I wanted that kind of balance of the synths kind of I feel like give you like this grittiness.
Yeah.
And then low cellos give a little bit of an oomph underneath it to lift it.
Amazing. It's so interesting to actually like listen to, because I think sitting there and you talking about it, I think I very much took it for granted, because back in school I used to play instruments. I was a violinist, I dropped it. I picked up the sax, I dropped it. I picked up the trombone, I dropped it. My mum played the keyboard and the keys, she dropped it. And I think we were a very musical family, and I regret dropping it all because there's so much knowledge and there's so much creativity behind it. Other than the keys, did you play any other instruments at school?
I did try to pick up violin as well.
Yeah.
I dropped it. I tried to do it during high school, which probably wasn't the best time to try and pick up obvious. And I did it at school during like breaks and lunch breaks, and I was like, I want to be with my friends. This is so I probably picked it up at the wrong time. And I have picked it up since. But I need a bit of accountability when you've not got like a direct like deadline.
That's the trouble.
So I have been thinking that I would want to do like actual lessons for violin.
But I guess with access to a keyboard that I assume you have now and all the software that we have, you can put those instruments straight onto keyboards, and I assume that's how you go about recording it, or do you record live sound?
Yeah, so most of it's in the DAW with VSTs.
VSTs.
VSTs. Yeah.
What are they?
Oh god, virtual. I can't remember.
Okay.
I need to remember. They're basically like plugins where you would load up a patch for a sound or an instrument, and that's basically what I use. So I have like a bank of VSTs I can basically load in and play with. Some things that I record live, so like I'll do a little bit of vocals. There was a little bit of vocals in Sleep Tight.
There was?
Just like little oohs and
and is that yourself or?
That was me, yeah. I think some of it I did use existing samples. And some of it was me.
Yeah.
Just to add like a little airiness to it. And occasionally I do like to record other things to add little layers. So there's a project that I'm currently working on that I'm doing harmonica. I'm turning that into like it sounds like a synth, like it's right on the low end of the harmonica, and I just basically have been blowing into it really hard, and it creates like this like sound. So that was something that will be out at some point in the future.
Amazing.
And yeah, just like to trial different things that might not be like traditional instruments.
Do you think those ideas then come from maybe your days of doing a little bit of Foley? I know you said at the beginning you did a little bit of Foley. There's clearly a lot of creativity behind finding the right sounds, and like you listen to some like director playthroughs or commentaries when you're watching a film, and they go, oh, this is how he found the sound, and there's like Star Wars is like an elastic band or something, or there's those old toys that they're like a U shaped, and they go around those, and you like find such weird sounds from such obscure things. How much creativity do you find you have in composing at the moment, and do you want to have more?
Oh yeah, it's a great question. I think it depends on the project and the deadline as well. So it depends on how much time I have to play with something. Definitely something that I want to expand on more. I've got like a plan in my head to create more samples. So I'll just have like a day of recording. So one, I've got like samples of like wine glasses, which you just like play in wine glasses.
Very nice.
Because they've got like a really nice sound to them.
Yeah. You've got some nice wine glasses to do that with though. Or have you got a technique?
Oh, mine are like standard Morrison's
ones. But they still do the trick?
Yeah.
How much water are we putting in these wine glasses? It's a nice party trick to be able to go, and play some nice notes.
You can get it right. With some practice, you can get it right.
Okay.
And it depends. So how much water will depend, like basically
The pitch,
give you
isn't
the
it?
pitch.
Yeah.
So, but you have to give quite a bit of pressure.
Yeah. Have you smashed a few?
Not yet.
Oh,
but there
okay.
probably will be a
Touch
time.
wood, you'll be fine.
I've smashed them when
Literally.
I've had like drinks.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, but not from recording. I've probably gone through quite a few wine glasses in just day to day.
So then, talking about time frames, I know one of the most recent projects you worked on just after Sleep Tight, I want to say, or just before Sleep Tight, was Rachel's 48 piece.
Yes, yeah.
How did you find composing in 48 hours? Because that's, I think making a film's hard enough. But then, did you compose before seeing the film and they just went with what you had? Or did they get a rough edit together for you and then you composed around that? Talk us through the time frame of composing in 48 hours.
Yeah. So I had wanted to try one of these challenges for ages. I had done the 666 challenge.
You did?
And that was an amazing experience. Yeah. And then, jumped on the 48 hour.
Oh, so the 666 was before?
It was,
okay.
Yeah. And they were very different, I think, because horror is very different as well. And this is a sci-fi dystopian kind of film. And I really wanted the challenge because I had actually taken a break from composing before that for quite a while, and these types of challenges were a real big test for me to go,
100%.
okay, if I can do this, I can get back in professionally and really kind of set that tone for myself. And it was great. Like, we all met together on the Friday night, whilst Rachel was writing the script. So I had like an idea of the film straight away and kind of what the story was going to be and her plan. I must say, I know that the 48 hour and 666 is very difficult, but as a composer, I personally feel like I felt like it was easier for me. I slept. I feel so lucky.
Oh, you're lucky, yeah.
Like, everybody else is like up till 5 a.m. in the morning. I had a full 9 hours sleep.
Well, I'd like to say on my sets, only I am up till 5 a.m. Everyone else gets a good night's sleep. But so you got a full night's sleep, even composing.
I was taking breaks. Like, I was okay. I felt very lucky.
So you composed from the beginning, then, I assume.
Yeah. So So Rachel sent me a kind of few different, like a playlist to give me like an idea, because then, because we have to work quickly, it's useful because I can then just basically try and use that as a reference. So I worked off the playlist. I prefer not to like read or listen to it on the Friday night, because then I can come straight in on Saturday with fresh view and get inspired quickly instead of having that, the night before. I was very lucky with Flashpoint. I basically just sat down, had the script. I wrote 7 cues in the first day.
Nice.
They were all maybe 30 to 45 seconds each.
Okay.
So like 6 or 7 minutes in one day. And then they sent me a very rough edit.
Right.
And
Saturday night?
I think so.
Okay, good.
I remember. I think it was Saturday night.
Nice.
It was a very, very rough.
Yeah.
And I just happened to go, that one
goes there, and that one sits there. Okay.
That one kind of sits there, and then I can merge this two together and chopped it up, and I was like, it's kind of halfway there, and sent it to Rachel, and she was like, yeah, cool. So then I just basically, then developed those ideas.
Nice.
And then
so going back to that then, going back to that quickly, do you think that's a stroke of luck, or do you think that's maybe your experience with music creating, composing already, and it has kind of come naturally to you, or was it just pure luck that those kind of sequences that you've created fit in nicely with the footage and the visuals?
Personally, I think it was luck.
Okay.
I do think I was lucky. On some parts, like with music, and it's the same with, I can expect, like with writing, sometimes it just comes to you and you can write how many pages in how many hours. Or you can have like 2 weeks where you're just really struggling to write anything. And music is exactly the same process. So some days it all just comes to you very quickly. And others, you could be working on a project for 2 weeks and be like, oh no, like, am I going to get this done? And then 2 days later you're like, oh, done. It's all come to me again, and you get it all done in one day or something.
What is a composer's version of like a blank page then? What is it when you sit there in front of your screen? What's kind of that feeling when you've got nothing? Like obviously a writer's a blank page, just trying to write something and nothing's coming to you. What's it like as a composer?
Yeah, I think it is easier because you have a reference, especially if you've got a final cut as well.
Yeah.
To work with, so you've got some reference points to try and figure out the pace. You may have references from the director as well as a starting point, or their notes of what they're wanting, and a conversation with them as well.
Yeah.
So I do think there's a more direction, but it can be nerve-wracking, especially when you're talking about deadlines. So you're not sure. It is very much like, okay, how long is a piece of string? Like, this could take 3 days, or it could take a month. Like, you just don't really know. But it's also really exciting as well, because it's that kind of moment where it's all the inspirational part of creating, and it, like composing, I find you have like a bit of a dip.
Yeah.
So you have the start where you've got all these ideas and there's a massive burst of creativity, you're really motivated, and then you start going through like a dip where you need to then piece together all those ideas and figure out the logistics of it, and it gets a bit hard, and then it peaks back up again when you start breaking through that, and you go, I'm on that ride again, I feel really inspired, and then all of a sudden it all just falls into place and you're like,
nice,
it's done. Like,
amazing. Well, speaking then of on the way up, I know you've kind of said recently that you've now committed some of your week to just purely composing now, haven't you? How does it feel taking that leap now then to going, okay, this is exactly what I want to do in life, I'm going to devote this amount of time? And have you taken time off work to fill this gap, or is this in the middle of work now?
This is in the middle of work.
Okay.
So I work like 32 hours a week.
Nice.
So I'm very lucky where I can kind of break it up. So I finish at 2:30, go straight into the studio as much as I can.
Amazing.
And then on the weekends, if I'm not at a festival, like social, like networking, I try and get into the studio as well.
Nice.
So I think it's muscle memory. You need to keep practicing it, and the more that you're in there, the better.
Okay. And it's fascinating to hear, because I've never really thought of composition the way that I do now after Sleep Tight. After Sleep Tight, it's a big change of like, no matter what film I make now, I know that it needs composing.
Oh, that's so nice to hear.
It's because I guess my next topic is kind of epidemic sounds, opus sounds, all these massive files of endless and endless effects, music, sequences. How does that affect you as a composer? Have you looked into maybe putting your stuff on there, or is it something that you want to avoid and strictly avoid?
Oh, interesting. For me, it's just not my line of work, I'd say. For a few different reasons. I think with like, if you're creating samples and things like that, it's for me, like I want to personally use it, and it's my own work.
Yeah.
I use other people's samples when I need to, especially if I don't have capacity to create that kind of thing. And also for me, it's that bond that I get with the director and the project as well is really important. And I've also like looked into like, should I do library music and those types of kind of lines of work as well. But for me, it's very much about the process of being part of a film creatively, and also with the relationships that you build with filmmakers as well. I think I just want to spend as much time as possible on that.
Good. Because I know at this kind of level of filmmaking that I talk to most people about, most people are epidemic sounds. Naming one, I can't think of any of the others top of the head. But how do you feel, where do you come in maybe on the spectrum from completely zero budget to full high end? Where do you think composers land in or start in that spectrum?
So do you mean where like my job would be appropriate, or?
Well, I know that obviously my first few films was made with just sound effects that I can find for free online. Then obviously your high end stuff has got plenty of budget to find composers, plenty of sound effects artists completely separate,
Yeah.
audio artists completely separate. Where do you feel like composers come into that? Do you feel like you're happy to work on zero budget stuff and of course full features? But I know that there's, with Sleep Tight for myself, it was a time where I was like, okay, I've got this money, I've put money into the film, it's now time for me to actually follow through with that and invest in some decent sound. Where do you feel like you actually step in and become a key role in filmmaking from zero to full?
Yeah, of course. So my view on it is I would recommend every director, wherever they are, to always try and work with a composer if they can, for a number of reasons. I have worked for free, and they have led on to other projects that have been great.
Amazing.
Because you build relationships with people, and also you do need a portfolio. That's a big reason why I did 666 and 48 hours as well, because that's 2 films in 2 weekends, and all of a sudden you've got IMDb credits, and it's great. Like, it's really easy to pick up a portfolio very quickly in that way, and there's one way of getting better, and it's by putting yourself in the position and doing it.
100%.
You can plan as much as you can to prepare yourself for that, but until you actually take action and do the thing, you're not going to know realistically what that looks like, working with people, what a project looks like, all the issues that you might come up and the teething problems. Whereas I think, like, I have taken stuff for free, especially when I was a student. Over time, you build that up. I think over time you have to understand what your value is as a composer, and it's up to you to then decide when you should charge. I think there's a fine line about finding the balance of value for your time versus gaining
the quality you're going to get out of something.
Definitely. And I think that's up to each individual composer to judge for themselves. But I think there's only so much you can learn from just researching and practicing 100%. Versus doing it.
So then building up your portfolio, that's got to be something that's, I can imagine, is fairly difficult as a composer. I feel like as a cinematographer, as a director, as an actor, actors, you can shoot a self-tape. Directors, no matter what you're on set with, you're going to direct. Cinematographers, you can go out, you can take a camera out. But to build a portfolio as a composer, you need some sort of visual to score, otherwise you're just making a piece of music. How is it building then your portfolio? Did you start with just creating kind of sequences with no visuals, or was it, okay, I'm going to ask for this footage and then score it? How did you go about starting your portfolio?
So I had a module in college where I did a composition for visuals.
Nice.
So I used that to practice against existing film.
Amazing.
And then after that I just jumped in and messaged people.
Amazing.
I'd say, like, you want at least a couple of pieces, but for me personally, I think it's all about the relationship that you build. You could be the most amazing composer in the world, but if you're not listening to the person that's sitting across from you, you're not going to get anywhere. And for me, it's about creating that personal relationship with someone, and it doesn't matter how many films you've got under your belt. It doesn't matter how much of a portfolio that's stacking up on your website. If you're connecting with somebody, take them to the pub, have a coffee, whatever that looks like, a video call, phone call, and actually listen to the director of what they're looking for. They're going to pick you because you're a nice person and they want to work with you. And yes, if the music is great, that's a 2 ticks. And for me, that's the kind of most important part of it, of finding and networking with people. And be proactive. And you can get so much further from that than sitting in the studio writing 20 pieces over how many years, and then going, oh, I'm finally ready, when you could have just been networking, and someone like the 48-hour challenge gives you a shot and goes, let's see, like, this is fun, let's do it.
So how is it then networking for you? Because I mean, you can imagine composing as a fairly lonely place to be. So talk us through then being in the studio completely on your own, headphones on, so tunnel visioned on a project, to being in a networking environment full of people just trying to source work? Is that two different versions of yourself, or is it, do you struggle with one a bit more than the other?
I work in sales, so I'm on the phone for my day
Ah, there
job.
we go then. Okay, nice.
So I'm very lucky that I've been trained in how to get clients.
Yeah, very nice.
So I do lean on that training quite a lot.
Amazing.
when I speak to filmmakers, and it is very different, especially if you are working on a film back to back for however long, and that could be months.
It can be.
And then you can go to a festival and you're like, I haven't spoken to anybody in such a long time, I haven't been out the house in such a long time. So it can feel a little bit jarring at times, where you feel, but that's mostly because I haven't seen daylight for a bit. But I think because I've got my day job where I am quite chatty and sociable 24/7 on the phone, it does feel quite natural.
Amazing.
And I have a bank of questions as well that I can like ask.
Go for it.
Well,
like I've fired away for 40 minutes, so go for it. Fire away.
Well, just even when like you're networking with people, like a little process of like types of questions that you can ask people, and I use open-ended questions as much as I can. So it's the what, whys, hows, wheres.
Okay.
Starting with a question with those techniques, it means that you're opening people up to talk about themselves, and it gives them the floor. So I just try and ask as many questions like that, really, to get them kind of warmed up.
Well, speaking of firing questions away, I know I've taken up 40 minutes, but for your podcast, what questions would you like to ask, or would you like to find out, or have I sort of already asked you the questions and answered them?
I'm really intrigued to know, because this is your first time having a composer, like when you approached that with Sleep Tight, did you have an idea of what you were looking for?
I knew that as soon as I started Sleep Tight, it was going to need something. Because there was very little dialogue. I knew it was a lot of action, and I wanted to have it mainly focused on the music. So I knew as soon as that we started shooting it, I knew it was going to need something there that I wasn't going to find from any of the kind of websites that you can just source music from. So I knew it was going to need something there. And then the second part of the question, was...
kind of what you were looking for from like a composer.
Yes. See, I'm great at asking questions, I think, and just terrible at remembering the answers.
We can swap background.
Yeah, no, you're good. I guess I knew it was going to be strings. I love strings in horror from what I watch. I'm like, okay, the nice crescendos and the vibrato in strings, I know resonates with me and the horror piece that I was building. And I think you executed what I was picturing without me saying it very well. I know that I gave you a little bit, but it wasn't a lot because I don't know how much to put in. And I was I just like people to be creative, and I need to see and listen to something before I go, okay, that's exactly it, or maybe not quite right. And I know we had a few revisions back and forth, but there was never massive change. And I think I just needed the little bits of information that I could give you that I was looking for, and I think that was just about right, because we then made the piece that was made, and I couldn't fault it, and it came together exactly as I was picturing it, which is strange, I guess, not picturing it, but me thinking it was going to sound like. So yeah, I think that's what I'd say, is that I didn't want to give too much, because I don't want to ever take over someone's creativity. I need something there to be able to listen to first, I guess. I think that was the way I was playing it.
Yeah, you like kind of like the composer to give you like a reference.
Yeah,
or like
I
draft to then what bounce off of.
Yeah, but now from the conversations we have today, I think when I'm gonna compose or need a composer next, definitely, as you say, put sort of a soundtrack together or a few bits of orchestral music and not orchestral music, but some sequences together, or some ideas of what I might be looking for, I think, in my next piece, 100%.
Yeah, everyone's different. Like I've gone from where people have no notes and they go, I completely just don't know what to do, and I want you to, just take full control. You have some people where they're like, I kind of know what I want, like a, give you like a foundation of
Yeah.
what that looks like, and others like I know exactly what I want, and I want this here and this here, and I
Okay.
want it to sound exactly like this, and it's really interesting because it keeps me on my toes as well, and it means that every project is different.
Okay, amazing. Have you got any more? I feel
Yeah.
like go for it. Go far away.
through
Let me try
my little list.
and let me try and answer some.
I thought it'd be really cool to kind of hear a bit more about the inspiration for the film.
For Sleep Tight. So my partner suffered with sleep paralysis a lot. I've never experienced it. I'd never really heard about it before I met her, and then she was telling me some stories, and I was like, it's just, I can't believe it. And she was like, well, this is exactly what it is. And we sat down one night, and she kind of told me the whole story of how she experienced it and what she goes through. And Sleep Tight is something that she literally experienced a few nights before I wrote it.
Wow.
And I was like, it was weird because she then wasn't on set, and she had no kind of control over what was going to go on. And I only had her story in the back of my mind and what I've seen from before. And me and Ollie created a while ago, like a short POC, which was very stylised, very more extraterrestrial kind of esque, harsh lighting, lots of smoke. And for Sleep Tight, I'd completely flipped that and went very minimalist and very simple in the way of shooting it and visualising it, because when you are stuck there in paralysis and can't move, it is simple. It is, you're stuck, you can't move. And that's what I wanted to hopefully portray in the film. And I think I've done it successfully.
I think you have. I've had sleep paralysis myself.
Mm.
And I think you portrayed it very well, perfectly.
Amazing.
How was that experience for you? Like, of course, like them translating what you've been told as an experience into film. But how did you find the process of like being on that shoot and trying to capture that?
Well, Sleep Tight was a very different shoot for me as a director. It was the first, I invested a lot in Sleep Tight. I think it was the first time I bought or invested in a set and a location. So I paid for that. We then invested in a monitor. So me and Ollie got monitors and transmitters. So I wasn't over his shoulder the whole time worrying about everything. I let Ollie have a lot more free rein as a DOP, and I let myself focus as a director, because this set I also had a sound man. So my only role in this set was production design and directing, and that was it.
Nice.
And to be able to sit and watch a monitor and direct made me visualising it and trying to tell the story that I'd heard a hell of a lot easier, because I could see what I was going to see, and it made then piecing the edit together easier. And then if we'd finished a little block and I was like, okay, this is the exact angle that I now need, I can tell Ollie a hell of a lot easier of what I was visualising, because I could see it then on a monitor. So investing in the kit and investing in a location and having it there in front of me made it a hell of a lot easier than watching over Ollie's shoulder or trying to just guess on what's on camera. Made creating it and telling the story that I've heard 10 times easier.
Give you a lot more control. And
100%.
That's really cool. There's a specific part that scares me.
Okay.
Throughout the composition, no matter how many times I've watched it, every single time it still freaked me out, and I had to try and write around it for a bit.
Right.
Because I was like, I know it's coming.
Yeah.
And I don't like it. And it's the bit where Megan comes up from the back, at the
edge
end
of the bed.
that bit. I was like,
okay.
every time. But I was also writing music in the dark, because I wanted to really feel it.
Got in the headspace
and be
for
in the film. But also having experienced sleep paralysis myself, because it's such a lonely experience, and it's as you said, it is simple.
Yeah.
But it's also the realistic the whole thing is that you're alone.
Yeah.
You can't do anything. It's also silent,
Yep.
at night. So to then try and get the music to feel that.
Yeah.
Without it being too much.
Yeah, see, I didn't even think
and
of
get
that.
a balance between the two was like probably the biggest challenge for me to
Yeah.
try and, because I didn't want it to be over composed where it's like really big and a lot going on, because I felt like it would take you out of that space.
Yeah. See, I didn't even think of that, because I didn't take into account, as I said at the beginning, the sound of it when writing and shooting it. I guess I knew that it needed it, but for you to say that sleep paralysis is so silent, I didn't really listen to that bit of when maybe she was telling the story. I focused on the dialogue and the conversation that the energies and the beings have with you when you're stuck. I was focusing more on that than anything, but for you to say it's silent and then to compose over what is silent and embodying it, and then that's got to be difficult.
Yeah.
Writing a piece that you've probably had and suffered from that is completely silent, to then try and score something that's not over scoring and taking you out of it.
Yeah, and I think that's why the score is so like a lot of it until quite at the end.
Yeah.
The majority of the middle section is quite broken up, like all the sounds that come in and out, until the end energy comes where it's like more solidified and sounds more like a piece, because I wanted it to feel like it was more like you're there with her.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go and rewatch it now. I'm going to have to rewatch it now we've had this chat and I can actually visualise these sound cues now. It's going to make the piece a hell of a lot more interesting.
This is why I love having a chat about like projects that you've worked on, because you get to hear about the other person's experience of it, and then you rewatch it and you go, oh, I get to appreciate it for a whole new like in a whole new light.
Yeah. Fascinating. It's been so fascinating just to listen to it, because you say you watch a film for the action, for the dialogue. You can go away and sometimes you listen to a soundtrack, but most times if you listen to a soundtrack, it's been a musical. It's very rare. I know you, Ollie, sometimes listen to soundtracks a lot. I struggle listening to soundtracks sometimes. I can listen to a few songs or a few pieces from a piece and I love it and it resonates with me. But listening to a whole composition on its own, it's like watching a film with your eyes closed. And I feel like I struggle to watch a film with my eyes closed at the hardest of times. If it was on, I couldn't do it. And then listening to it in the car, I find it challenging. But maybe after today, I think I want to do it and listen to a whole piece just as a score. Because I feel like you could tell a story from a score very much as if you could reading dialogue. I guess then, moving forward for yourself, what are those goals that you've got in mind? What is that trajectory that you want to go on?
Yeah, it's moving forward even more with the electronic music with orchestral. So like over the last year I've done kind of a diverse type of like portfolio, lots of different films and different genres, and I found that this is kind of where I hone in. That's my niche, so I want to just continue with that as much as I can. But also, like, I really love like art house films and like weird films, and there's different. Something that I'm going through at the moment is trying to figure out, because there's films that you love to watch, right?
Yeah.
And then there's films that you love to work on, and sometimes they don't overlap.
No.
So it's kind of figuring out that as well, of where I sit based on the music that I write and then the films that I love watching, and kind of combining those together. But as well, probably like just a big goal for me is PR at the moment. Just getting myself out there. Last year I did a lot of short films. I think I ended up working on about maybe between like 8 and 10 in total. And then this year it's trying to just talk about those and get myself out there a bit more, and get into articles and networking and just meet lots of people and go to festivals, whilst I'm working on less volume of films but just in the background kind of thing.
Amazing. And what that's, I guess, my last question for you is silence. How important is silence in composing?
It's so important. It's so important. You have to know when to use it.
Yeah.
And a big thing can be choosing when music is needed and when it's not. Because I think I tend to like over compose to begin with. I like throw loads of ideas out there as much as possible, and then I tend to actually rein it back a bit and go, oh, actually it doesn't need to be this crowded, and kind of minimise it. And it's when you're, I think this is for every filmmaker, when you're in a project, it's so hard to be objective and remove yourself and watch it as an audience member. And then like a year later, you could watch it and you see it as an actual audience member, and you see it so differently. So to try and make those decisions when you're in the work can be a bit tricky.
Okay.
And I like to kind of use like, dependent on like the space of shots between the dialogue as kind of a nice indicator of when music might fall in, or if there's specific kind of shot changes and the way that the character is, and I'll kind of mark out where I think music could go. But silence is so so important.
Is there I can't say, I'm trying to picture a film where there is complete harsh silence. I don't know if it's a rule or not. I'm sure someone told me once that there should never be nothing. Is that a rule, or am I making it up?
I don't think it's a rule.
Okay.
But I might not have that right. I think there is, I can't remember exactly which film it is. I think it might be in one of the Batmans.
Right.
I might have this wrong though.
I wouldn't know.
I'm sure there is a scene, and I'm pretty sure it's the Joker, and he's in like a van and he's shooting. And I can't remember which one it is, but I can't remember if it's Dark Knight but that entire sequence has no music, and it's just sound. And there's like explosions and I'm pretty sure, I can't remember which one it is.
But then silence, like dead silence.
Nothing.
No sound, no SFX, no composition. How is that then?
I think it depends on what you're trying to portray.
Yeah. Do you feel like there always needs to be some sort of audio element?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think it can be tastefully done.
Yeah.
But I think it would need to be in a very specific film.
Okay. Interesting. And then, obviously, the last question that I end everyone on is, if you were going to say, I've made it, what do you need to have done to say I've made it?
Ooh. Oh, that's so hard. I think it would be that working on a film that is like presented in like a traditional cinema setting.
Okay.
Whatever that film may be, I think that would be a moment for me. To be able to like buy, like go into a normal, like a standard cinema, buy a ticket and go watch that film.
Okay.
Because that to me is like that is cinema for me.
Yeah.
And that is film. Go have that experience and see that, like your music. That I think that would be mind blowing.
Amazing. And then before I sign off, have you got any more questions that you'd like to ask?
I don't think so.
You happy?
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, this has been episode 5 of season 2 of the Zero Budget Filmmakers Podcast. I've been your host, Thomas Clark. Today we've been joined by Sasha, a composer that composed Sleep Tight. If you haven't got Sleep Tight, on my Instagram there is a pin post. Comment night night on that, and I shall send you a link to Sleep Tight. We'll also be doing another premiere release shortly, which Sasha's going to send out some promo for as well, and I'll be doing another load of promo. But for today's episode, thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, sorry, before we cut, sorry, promote yourself and your socials. I completely forgot.
Yeah.
If you would like to, into this camera just here, socials, wherever we can find you.
Yeah, so you can find me on TikTok, Instagram, Threads, website, Sasha_Wilkins on Instagram. I think it's just Sasha Wilkins on TikTok. Come and find me. Have a chat.
Amazing. So that has been episode 5, and we shall see you in the next episode.